And welcome to an edition of the Movie Kit podcast. I'm your host, Kit Bowen. We're going to review the latest movie coming out this week by Ethan Coen, directed by Ethan Coen, Drive Away Dolls. And joining me in this conversation of interests is my very good friend, Joel Amos. How are you today, Joel?
I'm quite well, thank you very much.
Good. So this is the biggie coming out this week. It's called Drive Away Dolls, like I said, and it is directed by Ethan Coen, sans Joel Coen. We can kind of talk about the Coens after we give our review of the film, but let me give you a quick description. Jamie regrets her breakup with her girlfriend while Marion needs to relax. In search of a fresh start, they embark on an unexpected road trip to Tallahassee. Things quickly go awry when they cross paths with a group of inept criminals. It is also written by Ethan Coen, and Trisha Cook, and it stars Margaret Qualley, who we talked about in our last podcast as being a kind of a nepo baby. She's the daughter of Andy McDowell. Also, I'm probably I might get her last name right. Geraldine Viswanathan.
Ding, 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 ding.
Also, Beanie Feldstein's in it. Joel Slotnick, Coleman Domenico, Bill Camp, who's great. Very small part by Pedro Pascal, and also a very small part by Matt Damon. So some nice cameos made in this. But basically, it's about these two girls on this road trip. Two lesbian girls, I should say, because that was a very big part of the film. You start us off, as always, Joel. What did you think of Drive Away Dolls?
I was disappointed. Huge Coen Brothers fan, and Ethan has been kind of doing it on his own. I guess Joel's a bit burned out, which we could talk about a little later. But um, I don't know. The whoever cut the trailer deserves a raise because the I mean it didn't tease a movie that wasn't what I got. I'm not saying that, but just it made me want to see it like really badly. And I
Yeah,
kind of
me
maybe the
too.
expectations were high, or it just there are things that just fell flat. I mean, there's like this. I don't think it's giving away anything. I'm trying to be as unspoilers, but like there are these psychedelic interludes that just feel like out of left field. I mean, it'd be one thing if like one of the characters was like having an issue with psychedelics or somebody was trying them or
Right.
it just seemed out of left field and it took me right out of the movie. Um, and maybe one of the inept criminals, Coen brothers are really good at crafting inept criminals. Um, but like it just I don't know, it was disappointing. And one thing that struck me on the way in as I saw the running time was, I mean, it's minutes under 90, which
I
is
know. It
you,
was
you're trying
quick.
you're trying to get to 90 and call it a day, but this one didn't even try. And then you add in all those psychedelic interludes, some of which lasted for like 2.5 minutes. And I'm like, this movie really was a stretch. It was just reaching, and it kind of afterwards I was thinking about it, I'm like, it really did. I mean, it was reaching with pretty much everything it did. I mean, I think the actresses, the two leads in particular, were very good. They tried their best. Um, but it wasn't enough. I mean, you can't save. Another thing that struck me too was it was like, oh, okay, now I see why it was released in February. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like a Cohen
Yeah.
movie usually isn't dumped, but like I could see how this thing was dumped.
Yeah. I was also disappointed. From the trailers, I had a lot of high hopes. I guess maybe I was thinking of it, kind of as you know, I mean, when they do crime comedies like this, the Coens, I mean, again, we will talk in depth about them in a sec, but it is funny, but it's also, very violent. And while this definitely had some moments where you laugh out loud, although I didn't quite laugh out loud. But the audience I was seeing it with, actually laughed out loud. The violence was sort of minor to the sex, I guess. The sex was kind of a
Mhm.
bigger part of this one. These two women are, young uh, women who, and one of them being far more promiscuous than the other. And all of the various apparatuses used in
Mhm.
a lesbian love making and whatnot, and so that was sort of highlighted. And for me, also the always this in a Coen Brothers movie, take for example like No Country for Old Men. We're talking about a lot of money being trying to recover, or there's some kind of high stakes situation. Even Burn After Reading had some sort of high stakes
Mhm.
to it. um I just felt like the stakes in this one were just not that high, or not that important in a way. The sort of reveal to it was just not all that. I'm like, really, that's it? That's what they're running
Mhm.
around it for? And whatever. um so yeah, I mean, it just didn't. Now if it had been maybe directed by somebody else and it was a road trip with these two women, these two girls, then and their adventures, uh and maybe thrown in some criminal aspects to it, probably would have worked better. But I guess I just felt like the stakes weren't high enough for what they were going through. I do think that both of those actresses did a nice job. And Margaret Qualley is interesting because her mom has a very thick Southern accent. I guess she's from South Carolina or something. Um, and so I kind of found it funny that she has a very thick Southern accent. She's doing a very thick Southern accent in this, and I'm like, she's kind of channeling her mom a little bit, I thought. Um, because I don't think normally she has a Southern accent, but I could be wrong on that. But she was kind of playing a Texan, Margaret.
Mhm.
Um, you know, she had a great, and then poor Geraldine, I feel like she's been so great in so many different movies. I think what's it called? Blockers? Was that the movie?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
With
I
the
think that's when we were first introduced to her.
unspoken first word.
Um, so funny and so great. And she's one of these actresses I like to see, and she pops up. I felt like she was a little wasted in this in a way. She kind of had
Mhm.
one look on her face the whole time, and I think Margaret was the one who was the more animated. Actually, the person I love the most is Beanie Feldstein as the
Oh
as the ex
gosh.
girlfriend cop, who's just badass and just beats everybody up. And she was hilarious. I just wish she was
Mhm.
actually on the road trip with them. I think maybe if the three of them were on the road together, that would have been something. I really liked her. Yeah, the criminals in this were just weak compared to a Coen movie. And Coleman Domenico, you kind of think he's going to be a little menacing, but he kind of really isn't. And then, like I said, the reveal at the end, you're like, what? Really? This is it? I was
Yeah.
disappointed. I really was. And, you know, I hate to say it because we can talk about the Coens now. I think it was Ethan who decided he didn't want to do anything for a little while, but the both of them together, the last thing they
Oh.
did was the Ballad of Buster Scruggs,
Mm.
and which I never saw. I think you saw it. You really liked it, right?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I honestly, I think they need each other for
Yeah.
whatever that dynamic is, whatever that works between them. What maybe one says, yeah, that doesn't ring very true to me. Let's fix that. Or I don't know. I don't know the dynamics clearly. But I think that, and is it Joel who's married to Frances McDormand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ethan's actually married to the co-writer of Drive-Away Dolls, who's
Oh,
been
Trisha Cook.
their longtime editor.
Ah, okay, that's interesting. But together they work. They make things work. I mean, they've had
Mhm.
hit or misses too. I'm not gonna lie. I think the one that I think was the weakest of theirs was their sort of semi-autobiographical look at their childhood as two Jewish kids growing up. Oh crap, I can't remember the name of that movie either. You know which one I'm talking about with Michael, a serious man, a serious man.
Yes.
Yes. But
Yeah.
for me, I mean, they've always the whole comedy, dark comedy part to their films, from Raising Arizona to Burn After Reading, which in my opinion is one of their best. I just hands down love that movie. Um, to what's another one of their ones that was kind of a comedy? Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Sort of Big
Mhm.
Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Um, yeah,
Raising
they
Arizona is my introduction
that's
to them.
oh, me
And
too. That's their
I
second
was
movie.
just like, and then I was working in a video store, so the big movie that was being rented was Blood Simple. So I went and saw Raising Arizona, and then I went right to the my video store, and they're like, "It's your day off. What are you doing here?" And I just like, I must see Blood Simple. Um,
Which, you know
so
what? I don't know if I've seen all the way through. I think I've seen parts of it. So that's
it's
another
one
one.
of those. It's another one of those movies that you're like, have I seen that all the way through?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of, obviously they set the tone with that one. But they've gone
Hmm.
into different genre types, like Miller's Crossing was more like a mafia type film, and Barton Fink was one of their weird ones, but God, I thought that was a pretty fantastic one too. Not only just the story, but also just, can you write a wrestling movie? To just the sounds in that movie. But Hudsucker Proxy was another one I felt that was a little bit, you know, kind of one of their least favorite ones. But The Big Lebowski is clearly a cult classic, hard cult classic. Fargo, Oscar winning, the best, probably their best of all time. That and No Country for Old Men, really, I think.
Hmm.
But Intolerable Cruelty was another one. So like they don't always hit it out of the park. They don't. But when they do, when they really get it together, and it's them doing it, then they're unstoppable. So apart, I just don't think they're as good. Together, yes, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and even like my buddy Nick and I we oh gosh, how did it start? Oh, we started by watching all the James Bond movies and then
Oh,
rating them ourselves. And now we've moved on to Westerns, and like found somebody that wrote an article, like the 50 best Westerns. And so we've been going through there, and then we're going to determine our own. Well, we watched the original True Grit, and this past week we watched the remake. And I mean, even something like a hard boiled Western that's as
yeah,
classic as they come,
yep,
like they put their unique stamp on it, and it's like 10 times better than the original.
yeah.
And the original is considered a
It's a great
classic.
one.
So
Well,
it's
I
like,
mean, John Wayne is John Wayne. This, you know,
right.
I think why the first one was considered classic, because he kind of stepped out of his comfort zone a little bit,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I feel like some people saw that, but he didn't step out of it completely. So that's why it's still a John Wayne movie. But yeah, remake it with uh with Jeff Bridges, and then a young Haley Steinfeld, who had never
Hmm.
seen her before, and she was so good in that.
She got
Yeah,
an Oscar nod.
she did.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, they do tend to, they've done a few westerns now, and they also do the crime thing. So, but I just watched No Country for Old Men again, and my God,
Me
that
too.
is just that and Fargo. I mean, and it just they're just unbelievable, the way the pacing is, the way the just and a villain that, and they've created some amazing villains. They
Hmm.
literally have crafted. I mean, of course, that was taken from source material, but they get the people to get they get to play these parts. I mean, it is, and that's what this one lacked. To Drive Away Dolls, it needed a good villain. There was no good villain. If there was a good villain, then that would have made the difference in this. Because you've got these two quirky girls, who don't know anything from anything, but they seem to be outsmarting, the inept criminals. But if you had sort of the mastermind guy behind it, that they end up finally confronting or something, then that would have been interesting, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
it was missing that. I think it wasted the leads. And also at the same time, like didn't really give them much to do.
no,
I mean, I really like Geraldine a lot. I mean, everything she's done, uh, but she really wasn't given much to do here. I mean,
yeah,
I thought she was really two-dimensional, and I don't think it's her fault. And
no,
that's just how it was written. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, it just kind of missed the mark. And yeah,
But
I think
thankfully,
it's
it is short.
yes, it is quite short.
Yep.
I couldn't believe I mean, it was a later start, like what, 7:20, 7:25 my show. And then there was
Yeah, me too.
trailers and everything. But then like, the credits started rolling and I got up and hit the button on my phone and it said 8:59. And I'm like, wait, what?
Hey, I got my car and it was like, yeah, mine started at 7:20. I got my car, it was like 9:15. I go, really?
Yeah,
I
I
guess
got a whole
I
nother
guess we're
night ahead of
so
me.
I guess we were shocked by that since everything's so freaking long anymore. It's crazy. But yeah. I mean, I would give this, I don't know, 2 stars for me.
Yeah,
I really
two
wouldn't go much.
stars.
I wouldn't go much over
I
that. And
can't.
I hate it. I hate that I feel that way. I really wanted this one to be good.
Uh,
Just because I like
well,
everybody in it.
I think we can all blame my mother. Um, she famously stepped on Joel Cohen's foot at the screening for Baby Driver, and he really hasn't done much since. So I think my mom really messed him up, and I think he's had enough time. They need to reunite and get busy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um, so anyway, kind of a missed opportunity, but uh we do have something to talk about. I've only seen the first episode, but you got a chance to see all of it. A new show that's on Apple TV Plus called Masters of the Air. It stars here, I'll bring this up. Stars Austin Butler, who's just all hot, hot, hot right now, and Caleb Turner, who I also thought was quite good, even in that first episode I watched. But why
Yeah.
don't you give your 2 cents about Masters of the Air?
Oh, I'm a huge Band of Brothers and Pacific fan. I watch those every couple of years, and to finally get a third chapter from Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg is really welcomed, and it was really amazing. The Band of Brothers dealt with the campaign in Europe, Pacific, obviously at the Pacific, and I was like, well, what else are they going to cover? I was like, well, after watching all the episodes of Masters of the Air, this group of bombers, the 100th Bombing
Right,
Squadron, really deserved the spotlight. I just thought it was amazing. I thought it was really well put together. Um, they're juggling kind of a bunch of different storylines by the time you get to the end. Um, and that's different than the first two series, in that, you
right,
kind of had a real linear thing and characters didn't get separated very much, but here they do big time. I mean, and you just gather the shelf life of some of these pilots were so short.
right.
Um, it really becomes hauntingly clear at the end. Um, it's all put together. But anyway, yeah, this one really, really moved me. I thought um, uh, Austin Butler was amazing. I can see uh, in an interview somewhere he said that he got a vocal coach to help him get into Elvis. And after uh, doing the pilot on this one,
Right,
he hired a vocal coach to get him to not sound like Elvis.
right.
It's so ingrained, like he couldn't shake it. And so that first episode, I was like, wow, Elvis is fighting in World War II. But then, he gets a command on this character that's just really intense, and you realize
Yeah,
what a young talent he is, and the whole ensemble cast, and you're going to be exposed to like what it's like to be a prisoner of war, um, and how these guys were at a certain point, they serve their purpose, and they're basically being used as bait for the faster and stronger planes that they were building, and how they were like, okay, fine, whatever you need, and just
Right.
it just uh, again, my buddy Nick, mentioning him again, he's watching it with me, and he's just like every time we watch one of these things, we're just reminded that God, these guys really are the greatest generation. I mean, holy moly.
Right.
I feel like my generation would just be like, okay, that's enough. I'm going home.
Yeah, I was intrigued by it. I'm watching about 3,000 other things right now, but I do plan to pick it back up again and watch it because it is a fascinating part about, World War II. Just all aspects of World War II are very fascinating. So this particular one is interesting, and I think I was definitely drawn in by the characters. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. But so definitely check that on Apple TV Plus. Also, I don't know if you watch this one, but I started to watch it, and I just feel like I want to mention it. I guess this is the year of, or this is the time where they are turning movies into TV series.
Hmm.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which
Yes.
is a new series on Prime, starring Donald Glover and, gosh, what's the actress's name? She was really good. I watched the first episode, and it, it's a little, it's definitely different from the movie. Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie movie where they were already in love and fell in love, and then realized that they were both assassins. So this one's definitely different, but the same idea that they're strangers who have to pretend, who are married and have to be married, but then they have to do these missions. Um, Maya Erskine is
Yep.
the actress who plays Jane Smith. So grabbed me
Hmm.
right away. You don't really know which spy agency they're working for. You don't know, exactly what the background is. But at this point, I don't know. So, but I'm hooked. I'm really hooked. So
I inhaled that show. I like how it takes a different premise. That
yeah,
in the movie they discover that each are what they are, and in this one they go in full well knowing that they're spies and they're supposed to pretend to be married. And
right.
where we go from here is the joy of this series. And um, I was reading some reviews about it. Like this is Donald Glover's third series that could be called like an instant classic. I
Yeah,
mean, and that's unheard of. And he's just getting started. I mean, it's
I
really
know.
just. And so
I
anyway, it
know.
just and the chemistry between uh the two leads is key. If they don't have it, it doesn't
Nope.
work. And boy, do they have it.
Still, man, do they have it.
Yeah, you're just pulling for them to just do something right and just make it. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm still calling it the titanium era of television. I keep waiting for it to end, but like, I'm mowing through these shows and I was like, all right, well, what should I look up? And I was like, oh, that's right, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And I pressed play and I swear like in 4 days I had the thing finished.
Right.
Um, you know, um, yeah, I,
Yeah.
that's a really good show.
It is. It is a good show, and I am absolutely hooked. So I'm totally down to keep continuing to watch that one. So it's on my now it's on my to
Yeah.
do.
And
But
I don't
go
real
ahead.
quick, speaking of movies to TV shows, the most recent season of Fargo, uh, with Juno Tempo and John Hamm is just incredible. And I
Unbelievable.
and I believe I think it's the best of all the Fargo seasons. And maybe this is why it is the most Coen Brothers esque of the seasons. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like it's almost a continuation of the movie in a way. And John
Yes.
Hamm, I don't think I've seen a more sinister character on television. I mean, holy moly,
Yep.
he is vicious. So if you haven't seen Fargo, most recent season, and you don't have to have seen the other ones to enjoy
Right.
this one.
Right.
So, yeah, there's lots of options out there, even if Mr. Cohen kind of swung and missed in the big screen. Their presence is being felt on the small screen.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it was it was amazing. And the
Hmm.
Easter eggs from the movie, you guys,
Hmm.
if you love the movie, and I've seen it about 1,000 times, you will appreciate all of the the little nods and the
Hmm.
homages and whatnot. You pick them out all the time, all the way down to like she drives away in a car and it says dealer, her plate says
Hmm.
dealer on it. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Jennifer Jason Leigh, I mean,
Oh
holy moly,
god.
the
And you
Ice
think she's
Queen.
gonna be, yeah, you think she's gonna be this, horrible person, and then there's this switch, and I don't know.
Yeah.
There was so
Yeah.
much to it that I enjoyed, and of course, if we're gonna talk about sort of a female empowered show, which I thought that season of Fargo was, if
Hmm.
you guys haven't watched the latest season of True Detective Night Country,
Oh
woo,
my goodness.
check it out
That
on
is a
HBO,
burner.
guys.
That is fire defined. And it also
I
made me realize I've always liked, like, I really like Jodie Foster. Like, I don't know
I
why
feel
it
the
took this
same
show.
way.
Like, I
I
was watching the show
know.
about halfway through, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I've ever seen anything she's in that I didn't like.
She
She's just
is.
such a most enjoyable actress.
She really isn't, like, I know she's taking a bit of a break, and now she's back again, kind of turning in some amazing performances. This was she'll get every Emmy. Obviously she'll
Hmm.
be nominated for all Emmys, but for all awards, I should say. But Naiad as well, which was
Yeah.
a movie that came out last year on Netflix, and that they both got Oscar nominations, didn't they? They both did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but Jodie was so good in that too, and I'm like, wow, there she is again. There she is.
Mm.
And I don't know. I have a newfound appreciation for her because
Yeah, exactly.
she is of age now. Kind of around my age, and she hasn't had a stitch of work done. Doesn't need it. Looks fantastic. Just There's just something about her that's so cool. She's always been cool, but I don't know.
She
For
is.
right now, she's just
She's awesome. Just
absolutely.
you go, girl. I just
So anyway,
really impressed
I
with her.
think we've covered crime dramas here. We covered crime drama
Just a
and
few.
crime comedies, and yeah, I think that's the theme of this podcast for sure. But Driveway Dolls, but those shows we
Meh.
just mentioned, definitely go for it.
Yep.
Definitely watch them, and then throw in Masters of Air for a little historical World War II stuff. So
Hmm.
for good measure. But next week, my friend, next week we've got
Dun, dun,
Dune Part
dun.
2.
I hear good
I
things.
hear it's amazing. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I have a feeling we're
Austin
gonna love it.
Austin Butler again.
Austin Butler again, not pretty
No,
in Dune
no.
2. Pretty on the press tour that I keep seeing a bunch of pictures and videos from, but not in the movie. No, 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 not in the movie. But yes, that will be our big one next week, and I can't wait to talk about that with you. I have a feeling
Sounds great.
I think we're gonna love it. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed it. And we will talk to you guys all very, very soon. Take care.